Havoc.
News, interviews, and more.
We just reek of Huntsville Havoc hockey.
Time for another Reekin Havoc podcast. I'm Tim Lambert. This week we welcome back goalie Brian Wilson, who is a recent signee for the upcoming season. Laura Pitts will get him in the slot. Look for another of Huntsville's greatest hits later on, and we'll get you up to speed on the latest team news as the Reekin Havoc podcast continues.
The Reekin Havoc podcast.
One of the worst feelings you can have is that of being stranded. Well, BT's Towing, Tire, and Truck Repair makes that a thing of the past, with 24/7 towing services and roadside assistance in the northern Alabama and southern Tennessee areas. But that's not all. They also offer truck and trailer repair, mobile welding, brake service and repair, new and used tires, and other major and minor repairs. Their name says it all, BT's Towing, Tire, and Truck Repair. For 24/7 response, call 497-8234. That's 497-8234. BT's Towing, Tire, and Truck Repair.
Athens Utilities comprises Athens Electric, Athens Gas, and Athens Water Services. Together, we are committed to providing reliable and affordable electricity, natural gas, and water and wastewater services. We operate as part of the City of Athens, and just like our city's motto of Athens is classic, Southern, character, we believe in supporting what makes our community special. Call 233-8750. Come by our office at 508 South Jefferson Street, or look for the link online at athensal.us.
Got something to say? Put it on a t-shirt, or hoodie, or apron, or even an iPhone case. Just go to daddyoscustomtees.com and make it happen. Look through their selection of ready-made designs, or make one of your own. Check out their special hockey designs, too. With Daddy O's Custom Tees, you can truly have it your way. Look for Daddy O's Custom Tees on Facebook, follow them on Twitter or Instagram, or go online to daddyoscustomtees.com. That's DADDYOS Custom TEES.com. Daddy O's Custom Tees. They've got your back or front.
Let's go in the slot.
Welcome back, hockey fans, to another episode of the Reekin Havoc podcast. We're in the slot today with Brian Wilson. He is coming back this year for the 2024-2025 season as goaltender. And, we really enjoyed having him last year. It was a big part of the success that we had. And thought we would just follow up with Brian today and see how his offseason is going. Brian, thanks for coming and chatting with us.
Hi, Laura. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
So what have you been up to in the off season? How has life been?
Life's been good. I mean, it's been a lot of coaching and training. And that's that takes up a lot of my time in the off season. I've done a little bit of traveling as well. I was actually just at a wedding this past weekend. I got another close friend's wedding coming up a little bit later on in a few weeks here. But yeah, it's been mostly that, and a little bit of golf here and there and things like that. But nothing really too crazy going on.
So you are doing your own training. Talk to like I'm assuming that's teaching kids, doing some sort of training school or something, camps maybe.
So yeah, I coach goalies in the summer. I work with a company, for the most part, I work with a company called Pro Goaltending. So I travel up to Ottawa, which is about 3.5-4 hours from my house here. And I go up there and coach goalies for a few weeks. And then I help out another company back home as well, Brick by Brick Goaltending. So I help out with those two companies during the summer, just working on technical things with these, sometimes with younger goalies, sometimes with guys that are a little bit older, kind of junior and college level goalies. And, that's a good time. I've been doing that for quite a while now. And, it's fun to be on the other side of things. And, it's also, it's a good way for me to learn things as well. You're kind of actively, you're just seeing it from a different perspective when you're teaching it to other people. The same things that you are trying to do yourself. So sometimes I find when I'm coaching these guys, I'll end up learning things myself in the process that I can bring into my own game. So it's fun that way.
What do you see as some of the, I guess, changes in goaltending? You've got some of these guys who are younger, coming up, learning the ropes, learning how to do this. What do you see as kind of changing and shifting that position in your, that you've seen them do?
Yeah, it's goaltending's an interesting position. It's come a long way in the last 10, 20 years now. Everybody is kind of learning a similar thing, whereas I feel like it used to be a little bit more free for all, just doesn't matter how you do it, just go in there and stop the puck, be athletic. Nowadays you still have to have athletic ability, but it's also, you have to combine that with having an understanding of how to play the game from a technical aspect and within a team system as well. So, I think goalies are a lot more intelligent. I don't know if that's, that's the right way to say it or the fair way to say it, but there's just more thinking that goes into it, and more attention to detail on how you're making saves. Yeah. And not just kind of going out there and doing whatever comes naturally. So it's a very, very technical position. There's still guys that teach certain things in different ways, like anything else. But there's definitely more process involved with it in terms of just learning small details about the position.
Do you ever find yourself consistently correcting certain things with your goalies that you work with? Like this, you see the same thing over and over that you try to really harness in on them to change or work on?
Yeah. So there's certain themes, and it usually differs depending on the age group and the skill level that you're working on. I think a big thing is making sure that guys are set on plays, and a lot of guys have a tendency to kind of have a bit too much movement in their feet when they should be set on a puck, and that just causes a lot more issues with rebounds or being able to recover on a play where there might be a pass when you're expecting a shot. Things like that where your feet will get stuck and you don't allow yourself to have a chance to get across. I find that's a big one for guys. But it's very individualized, but it's also, there are definitely themes that you'll see kind of rise to the surface with certain age groups and certain skill levels.
So what is the youngest age group that you're coaching?
So, usually the youngest goalies we'll be working with are like maybe 8 or 9 years old, and the oldest will go up to guys in their 20s or you get the odd guy in their 30s as well. It just depends.
Well, I asked that because I was hoping that you were working with some like 8 or 9 or 10-year-old kids, and I was kind of curious about that dynamic of being, you're working with these kids and there's so much potential that they have, but wrangling them in and getting them focused and getting them, practice, right? And kind of instilling that you can't just come to the rink once in a blue moon or once a week. You have to work at it. What do you see kind of shifting or changing in that? Is that kind of a challenge to kind of work with those age groups, or for the most part, are they pretty well set when they get there?
It is a challenge, and that's actually, it's a really good question, because I believe a big part of it when you're that age is you have to be able to have fun, right? Like, you're an 8-year-old kid, you're a 9-year-old kid, you want to introduce them to these concepts, but for me, it's not as much about getting in depth with, super technical aspects at that age. It's more, the way that you're going to keep their attention, because kids have short attention spans. It's just the way that it is, right?
Yeah.
The way you're going to keep their attention is by finding a way to keep it fun. So, it's just like any of us playing on the Havoc. Like, we probably wouldn't still be playing hockey if we didn't have fun with it at a young age, So, you have to be able to keep it fun while also, throwing in amounts of information that they can handle, and things that they can realistically add into their game at the age that they're at. But I definitely believe in making sure they're having fun at that age. And like, another thing is, I don't know, it's probably not the case too much down in Huntsville and just in the South, Alabama and stuff, where these kids are kind of just playing one sport all year. That's hockey. But I know that, I'm in the Toronto area up in Ontario, it's hockey crazy up here. Everybody plays hockey. And I find nowadays a lot of these kids are just on the ice, like, all the time, all year round. And you can kind of burn out and maybe not develop athletically in other areas. So I actually encourage younger kids to, during the summer, play other sports. You can still, you still come to the rink once a week or twice a week in the summer, but, you might have your 2 weeks of camp or whatever you're doing kind of later in the summer to prepare for the season. But, you want to also have some other stuff going on and have these other sports. So, you can be a kid, you can enjoy yourself in other areas, and you're developing, without really realizing it, you're developing a sense of athleticism, and becoming just a bit more of a well-rounded athlete.
Is that a hard conversation to have with parents, especially in such an, heavy hockey place where everybody's doing that? Is that take a break? It's okay to not do this 24/7. Is that a conversation you've ever had to have with parents too?
Yeah. And I think it's an easy conversation to have. It's, because, it's something I believe, and, you see it with kids, like, they'll burn out and they'll lose interest in the game by the time they're in high school or whatever it might be. So it's an easy conversation for me to have because I definitely believe in it, but it's another, what the parents do with that conversation, what the kids do with that conversation. Obviously that's not up to me. That's, they take that home and do what they want with that information. But no, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a difficult conversation to have. I just don't know, if they want to listen to that advice. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And if not, that's obviously kind of in their ballpark. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, I was just thinking about the burnout aspect of it because, it can happen, and you can probably, I bet there have been many athletes that have been like poised for really good careers that could have been, but just for whatever reason, really burned out as a child or as a teen, right? Or as someone else. So that's why I was curious about that. And how that kind of worked for you. And it's interesting too that you're learning on the ice with them, that there's things that you're learning too, at all the levels that you can put back into your game. Is there something specific that maybe you've kind of caught on, this past summer working with, different student athletes and stuff like that you've, realized, hey, I might need to fix this in my own game?
I think something for me, something I've been working on this summer is just like where my weight balance is, like, being a little bit more forward, a little bit more over top of pucks, and seeing some other guys that I've been coaching have similar things that they're working on. Being able to visually see kind of where they're at, and there's certain guys that are really good at it and certain guys that have to work on it. And, you kind of just see, like, when I'll coach somebody, I'll change how they're standing and just see how visually it makes a difference. And like, you can kind of, when you've been playing goalie for this long, you can visually see when a guy just has it or he doesn't have it. And just by making some of these small changes, and you make a change in, just where a guy's holding his weight, kind of getting your weight off your heels and a bit more on your toes. It's, you look at just the way it changes how their body sits in the net and how they cover the net and the power you move with side to side. It's like, wow, you kind of visually see the difference it makes in other guys. And, that's something I saw this summer where I'm like, okay, this can be a big difference maker for me, and, help me take that next step.
Well, and speaking of next steps, it won't be long before you'll be back in net at the Von Braun, playing when the season starts back. What are your thoughts kind of going into this next season? I mean, have you even really processed it yet? I know we got a little bit of time, but we're all really anxious for it to begin.
Yeah. I'm definitely excited. I was really excited to sign back with Huntsville. Obviously just a first-class organization, first-class fan base. It was a lot of fun there in my first year, on the ice and off the ice. So first of all, I'm really, really happy to be back. I'm a pretty day-by-day guy, just take care of what's in front of me. So I haven't put too much thought into it. I know my job when I get there is to just stop the puck. So, if I'm just working on making sure I'm doing everything I can right now to be in a position in a month and a half, where I'll be at the top of my game. Other than that, I mean, haven't put too much thought into it other than just I'm excited to get back there and see all the guys again and get back to work.
I really like this. My job is to just stop the puck. I think that'd be a really good T-shirt idea for the Havoc. Just stop the puck. I think that would be perfect.
Yeah. Well, I talk to somebody in the front office.
I like that idea. Well, I was just thinking, that is like, I think that's what a lot of people envision the goalie job is you just out there to stop the puck. But when you're talking about all the things that are going on in that moment, there's a lot of work mentally that you're doing in those moments, trying to protect that slot, trying to protect that goal from, and everything. How over your career have you kind of settled in to be able to focus in on that while in the background knowing that my job is really to just stop the puck?
Yeah, so I actually started working with a sports psychologist about 8 or 9 years ago now. And I honestly, I doubt I ever would have made it to professional hockey or maybe not even college hockey if I hadn't started working with him. It just kind of, when I was younger, I was good. I had a good base, but, sometimes I would perform well, sometimes I wouldn't. And I didn't necessarily know how to build consistency in that. And, it's still, even knowing all the stuff I know now, you still have some days where, you might have a stinker of a game and it happens, but you got to be able to deal with that and pull yourself out of that and not let it snowball. So yeah, for me, it's just, I have a series of mental notes that I go over. I go over those notes before games, during intermissions and things like that. And those really help me just stay in a good frame of mind and keep things simple, not try and overdo it, not try and worry about controlling things that I can't control. It's more about just making sure I understand the things I can control. Just basically things like how I prepare and the effort I put in. Those are things I can control, and the results and things like that, they'll, whatever happens will happen. If you can just control the things that you can control and not stress yourself out by worrying about things that are out of your control.
Yeah.
You're going to end up getting to a point where you can play to your full potential and not be leaving anything on the table. And, the results should take care of themselves at that point.
Reflecting back on last season, even though we have left that back there was still a lot of learning, a lot of things that I'm sure that you took away. How do you kind of assess how the season ended? And for you too, individually, how do you assess your kind of position in playing and like what you did in the end and in the playoffs?
Yeah, it was an awesome run that we went on last year. It's so much fun going on those runs. Obviously, coming up a bit short was really hard, but being able to go through that with the group of guys that we had was amazing, and the support we had from the community, it was unbelievable. So it was really, I did a lot of learning about just Huntsville and how much how much they get behind their teams there. It's amazing to see. Now, yeah, for me, I think, overall, I think the season went fairly well last year. I think there was, a little stretch of time there where I had some inconsistencies, and that's something that I want to hopefully clean up this year. Just a little bit, month and a half there where I felt like I wasn't quite on top of my game, but at the same time, it's those things happen, like I said, and you gotta be able to get out of it and not let it snowball. And I felt like I did a pretty decent job of that for myself, and heading into playoffs, I thought I was in a good spot where I could help the team in whatever way I had to. So, overall, I think a lot of things went well last year for, on a personal level, but on a team level, obviously, that's kind of first and foremost, and things went really well, but we got some work left to do and didn't quite finish the job last year.
We'll be back with more of the Reekin Havoc podcast.
My name is Joel, and I came to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in December of 1987 to be treated for osteosarcoma, which is bone cancer. We didn't know anything about St. Jude. We didn't know what they meant, or that, when we got here, what we would do, how it would be taken care of. And when we arrived, we found out that my family wasn't going to have to pay for any of my treatment, not for my medicine, not for travel, not for housing, not for food. St. Jude was going to cover all that. St. Jude supported me in every way, from, taking that financial burden off my parents to making sure that all of my family was included in this time. St. Jude literally means everything to me. I get to go home to my family tonight. I get to cook dinner for them. That's what you're giving. You are giving us everything by supporting St. Jude. So thank you so much.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
This is John Gibson, and you're listening to the Reekin Havoc podcast.
So I was going to ask you about, we had a lot of new coaching staff members. There were a lot of new players, a lot of newness in last year's team. How would you kind of talk about that newness? I mean, it's not new now. It's more seasoned this going into this year, but for y'all, you kind of had to find at some point the beat of your own drum, your own unity. And kind of how did that work out for you guys, or from your perspective?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, newness and having young guys and stuff, I think that can be an advantage if you let it be. So I think we had a lot of young guys, but they were good people, and they were, even though we had a lot of young guys, they were quite mature, so guys were able to handle the situations that were thrown at them during the year. And obviously, like you said, new staff as well with, I know it was Stu's first year as head coach and Ty's first year on the staff and not playing. But those guys had a seamless transition. And, if you had to put me on the team and not told me that it was those guys' first years, I never would have guessed it. They obviously they learned from how Glenn ran it in the past. Obviously Stu was the assistant there for him, and Ty played under him. So I think they kind of continued on with what Glenn's built, and obviously Glenn's still a part of it as well. But no, it's I think it was awesome. Like we had newness, but I didn't think that really hurt us in any way. We had some adversity to go through, and maybe it took us a little longer to figure things out than it might take a more veteran team, but we were able to figure those things out. And I don't think there was ever really a doubt within our group that we would figure things out. And I think that showed.
And this year, I saw it posted, I guess the other day or whenever on social media, that there's about 4,000 season ticket holders that are coming in for the season. Did you ever think that such a, I guess, unconventional area that might not be used to having hockey, right? We're not used to hockey in the South, those kinds of ideas. Would you ever have imagined that there would be this much support and fan base for a minor league hockey team?
It is surprising. Like I know. When I tell people up here in Canada, hey, where are you playing? And I'll say, yeah, I'm playing down in Huntsville. First of all, when I say I'm in Huntsville, they think it's Huntsville, Ontario, because there's a Huntsville here, a couple hours from Toronto. So I kind of have to explain, no, it's in Alabama, and the reaction is kind of like, oh, okay, like hockey in Alabama. I'm like, yeah, you would be surprised. Like it's a really, really big deal down there. Like we get more support in Huntsville than I've ever gotten anywhere else. And it's pretty darn special how they treat us down there and how much they support us. We couldn't really do what we do, and it certainly would make it a lot less fun to do what we do if we didn't have that kind of support. So I think that's a big reason why Huntsville is I think it's a destination spot to play in the league. Like you talk to anybody that's playing within the league, they would love to play in Huntsville because they come in here as a visiting team. They know how hard it is to play as a visiting team here, at the Von Braun, and they see what it would be like from the other side, and guys really want to be a part of that. So having that community sport, it allows the team to recruit easier as well, and recruit better guys, just because of how many guys would love to play here and love that opportunity.
So when does the off season officially end for you, and we get you back down here in the South?
I don't have an exact date on that yet, but it should be about first week of October that we all start kind of getting back into town and getting in the groove and getting ready to get back to work and prepare. I think our first actual game of the season, I believe, is sometime in the middle of October. Around, I want to say it's the 18th or something, but don't quote me on that, but I know the schedule is online. So what are you most looking forward to? Because it's kind of like now we're on a redemption tour. I think about that idea. I'm a big football fan, and so anytime Alabama, doesn't win a national championship, I think, oh, we're on the redemption tour. So this new season, like, what are you thinking? Yeah, Personally, I think we can't get too far ahead of ourselves and start thinking about, a trophy on day one. You kind of have that end goal in mind, of course. Everybody's coming there you're not going into a season like, oh yeah, hey, I want us to finish 5th place or whatever, or 2nd place like it was last year, and you're going in with the goal of winning the league, winning a championship, and putting rings on our fingers. But that's kind of more of a back of the mind goal, and just always having that. You have it in sight, but I think it's more important to just focus on the day to day. And like right now, this exact moment. It's about, kind of getting yourself 1% better every day, making sure you're healthy, making sure you're on ice, your game is getting to where it needs to be for the start of the season. You're off ice, making sure you're in the shape you want to be in. You got the strength that you want to have once that season rolls around. So that's what it is now. And then, once that season actually starts up, it turns into, okay, let's win today. You can only really control what's right in front of you now. So I think it's all about, once those first games start, it's, just win the game that you have today and worry about tomorrow when that comes. And, hopefully, obviously that'll get us to our end goal of winning the whole thing this year.
Okay. So let's transition. Let's do a couple of fun questions that always get asked. Someone wanted to know right now, since you're home for the season, what's your favorite part? Like, what have you missed the most about being home? Like, what are you most enjoyable about being at home right now?
I think just relaxing, seeing some friends that I don't see during the season, and getting to spend time with family and stuff. We live on a lake out here, so kind of hanging out by the water and things like that is always nice. And as much as this is I love the game of hockey, and we all do. It's also nice to be able to take a step away from that for a couple months and kind of recharge your battery. So it's enjoyable being home, but as we creep closer, obviously. Getting more and more excited to be back in the Rocket City there.
So since you've been home, and, it's interesting that you mentioned that need to kind of get away from it also. I know I'm trying to be asking some really fun questions, but it kind of brings me back to this burnout conversation too. It's almost like this is so needed. And a lot of us who are fans don't realize how needed the off season is to help with burnout or being overwhelmed or just kind of getting your head in the right space.
Yeah. It just, it brings back some of that itch, the desire, and some of the passion when you get back, because you haven't been doing it for a few months now, and you haven't played games since, I don't remember, our last game was in May, I guess. Where it's like, wow, I'm hungry to get back out there, hungry to get back in a game. Where, if you're doing it all year round, it's, it would get a little mundane, and your body would get really, really beat up and stuff and all that. So it definitely is beneficial to, have that time to kind of relax and rest your mind. Like it's a lot mentally. It's a mental grind going through a season. By the end of it, just to I find that, especially as a goalie, it's one of the hardest parts of the position is mentally. Like I said, I've worked with a sports psychologist for 8 or 9 years now, and it's even though I kind of have all that information on how to deal with situations that come up, it's still, it can be exhausting. It doesn't just come without any work. It's not like, oh, you know how to do it, so you just it just happens naturally. You got to put some.
Yeah, those are just things that I guess people forget about. I don't know. It's just really kind of cool I really enjoy hearing this side of the story, because again, we tend to put athletes in any kind of capacity in these areas of invincibility, that this is their, what they do, and we enjoy that. And it's sometimes we forget the human side of all of it. So yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That's it's part of the job. It comes with the territory. We all are or have been fans of teams our whole lives growing up. You know what I mean? So like, we understand it obviously from a fan perspective as well.
Okay. So let me ask this. If you could stick a hockey rink anywhere in the world, where would you stick the hockey rink?
That's a very interesting question. Maybe Hawaii or something.
Okay.
Hawaii would be a pretty cool spot to
play hockey.
Have hockey.
Do they have hockey in Hawaii? Is that a thing?
They do, actually. I think there's only like one rink that I know of. And I know that because I had a teammate in Danbury when I was playing there that he's actually from Hawaii. So that's the only guy I've ever met from Hawaii that plays hockey. But that's pretty cool. But I've asked him a lot of questions about that. 'Cause, kind of like similar reaction to you. It's like, do they have hockey in Hawaii?
They have hockey, which is funny because I'm sure people have been like, they have hockey in Alabama. So I guess it goes with the territory. Okay. If you could create a mascot or have some sort of mascot for a hockey team, what would your mascot be? Like, what would you, if you were creating a new one?
Oh, really putting me on the spot here.
What's my whole goal?
Honestly, I have no idea. Maybe a polar bear, since I'm Canadian.
Okay.
I'll go with a polar bear or a moose or something, just to go along with the Canadian stereotypes a little bit. That represent.
Yeah. Okay. I like that one. That's pretty good. I like that one. Okay. So you guys get back to the rink. You're at your first practice. Who is the player that's going to get there on time and who's going to be late? First practice in October. You guys show up, ready to get the season on. Who's first? Who's there on time, but then who are you guys waiting on?
Oh, I think everyone's going to be on time. I think everyone's going to be early, being ready to go.
Yeah.
Geez, I don't know. I would say maybe if we were talking about last year, I would say maybe Tomer. I know he liked staying in bed until the last minute. He was never. I will give him credit. He was never late. But no, it's it's like anybody. We all enjoy our sleep-ins every once in a while. But no, I think everybody will be early and rearing to go.
Okay, so then how many games is it going to take us? Like, how many games of the season are we going to get through until Reggie has his knockdown, drag out, really good fight? First really good fight of the year. Are we going to get it in the first game, or think you'll hold back a little?
Oof, that's a good question. Reggie's not afraid to get a little fiery out there. I'm going to say within the first 5, I think we'll have something. But that'll be up to him.
He'll probably the first game. I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, and I'm glad. I'm glad he takes care of that, and I get to just hang out back there between the pipes, and watch the show.
Okay, so you're telling me that you've never wanted to throw the gloves down and like have your goalie fight?
I don't have a huge desire for it. I think when I was younger a little bit, like just growing up playing minor hockey, there might have been, there's definitely some times where like I would get pretty mad and, maybe want to throw some punches, but, not really to too much extent anymore. It's not really, I just find it takes the focus away from what my job is, and I don't want to lose focus as much as possible out there.
You don't want to also get injured, right? No unnecessary injuries. I get it.
No, yeah, and I'm not. I wouldn't put myself in much of a tough guy category. So I don't know how I would really do in a fight, but yeah. So an injury might be pretty likely if that ever happened.
Well, Brian, thank you for swinging by and chatting with us a little bit. I really appreciate you, stopping in your off season to let us know what you've been up to all summer.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to getting back there.
Well, we are all looking forward to having you come back, having the rest of the team come back. It seems like it takes forever for hockey season to start. There are 2 seasons for me in Alabama, and it is football season and then like hockey season. And so those 2 things have a weird colliding of time, but I am an anxious person like most of our fan base is to get you guys back. But we hope that you've all been having a really good off season as well. So yeah, thank you so much for stopping by and chatting a little bit and sharing what's going on right now. Hockey fans, if you are just now tuning in to the podcast and you don't really know much about Brian, and you're probably thinking, why didn't you guys go into a lot of detail today? Tell us a little bit about him. We've had him on the show before to kind of tell his story and get him and how he ended up down here in Huntsville and all of those good things. So if you want to know more about him, go check out our archives, go look at all of our past episodes and click on that one and listen to it on your way to work. You'll probably find some really good information on there. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for listening. And as I always say, stay sharp in the slot. Keep reeking of Huntsville Havoc hockey. We'll be back on that ice soon. Y'all just hold on. It's coming.
The Reekin Havoc Podcast.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Join us now for Huntsville's greatest hits, where current and former players recount their most memorable dropping of the gloves.
Former Havoc goalie Max Milasic.
My last year playing in Quad City, I was so tired. Guy ran into Sam Hunter in front of the net. I was already kind of fired up from a goal that they called before that was goalie interference. Guy came in and ran into me, so I grabbed him, kind of just grabbing him, pulling him around, nothing too serious, and he swung on me and ripped my helmet off, so I said, okay, it's time. And that's when I got him good with a right. Then the Quad City goalie, Resop, I didn't even know he was coming down. There's so much going on. I'm already involved with a player, and he's skating down. And he tapped me on the butt with his stick, which I didn't even feel at first. And then I turn around and I see him. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it's time. I guess we're doing this. So I turn around to try to skate towards him. I'm already cramping. I'm tired. I'm like, I just got to get him quick off the start or I'm in trouble here. And then I go to line up with them, and then the refs got in between. And I was going to try to break free, but it was the last weekend before playoffs. And I asked the ref, I said, hey, if I do this, am I going to be suspended for playoffs? And the ref looked at me and he said, I don't know. I don't know the rules. So I was like, what do you mean? You're the ref? You don't know the rules? I said, okay, well, then, I guess I'm not doing this here. He already had a hold of me, and I'm not going to try to break free from a ref and, break through with his arm and then get an extra game suspension. So it didn't really make too much sense. But I guess a lot of guys I've talked to on our teams would argue with me saying that I started it. But I never went out of my way to slash guys. I never went out of my way to punch guys unless they did something to me first or one of my teammates. It was always protecting my defenseman or protecting myself. I was never that goalie to hack someone in the back of the knee unless they were the ones starting the stuff, and then it's eye for an eye, I'm going to get you back. But yeah, it was a lot of Hageman. I mean, I'm sure everyone listening and everyone knows that the guy he's the turtle. The guy would never do anything here that was fair. He's always cheap shotting guys. I mean, I'll say that a lot of guys don't have respect for him. And I mean, I have videos of him coming by and holding me in the head, and I give him one back, and then he's looking at the ref putting his arms up. But they never called it most of the time if it was like that. They'd get the wrong end of the stick sometimes. They never saw the first. They just saw me kind of giving it back to him. But there was guys like that all the time in the league that were kind of running me. And most of the time when I got into it, I had good teammates where if I hit someone, they're coming in and they're protecting me and whatnot, which they probably got sick of it after a while. And they were probably like, oh no, here we go again. Max is hitting someone, and I have to come in and then they're getting in a fight for it. And so I apologize to anyone that had to go in there and get in a fight for it because I started something or if I was hitting someone. But yeah, I always just like to protect myself and my teammates, and some guys will not have respect for the game and they don't care if they hurt someone, so you have to protect yourself out there.
We'll be back with the Reekin Havoc podcast.
In June of 2005, our twin girls were delivered, Melissa and Ann Catherine, and they were born 14 weeks early.
Amy and Chris George talk about the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund.
They both weighed less than 2 pounds. Ann Catherine was 115 and Melissa was 1'9". Melissa lived for a couple of hours, but all of the medical technology in the world just could not have saved her, and she passed away while she was in the NICU. Chris realized pretty early that God had given us a platform that we could use to try to help people. So Chris and I started the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund at Huntsville Hospital.
To know that Melissa's name is living on, her legacy continues. And I think that was very important to Amy and I, is why the fund is named after her. Because for 7 weeks, Melissa fought so that Aunt Catherine would have a chance to live. And I think that we wouldn't be doing her name any justice if we didn't carry on, because we know we wanted to honor her and honor her legacy And the community, Huntsville Havoc, the community in Huntsville itself, they've rallied around that. And it's been a wonderful support system for us. And I think for a lot of families too, when they see total strangers that are giving.
We're online at HuntsvilleHospitalFoundation.org. Click on the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund and you can give that way.
There's no donation that's too small, and every dollar is just as important as the next one. And if you're giving, then we understand you're giving because you care. And that's what's important, is that we've learned over the years that people give because they care.
And you can volunteer. If you're interested in that, you can click on the volunteer tab to fill out an application. We are grateful for any type of support because we know that once we pull those dollars together, we can do big things.
For more information on the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund, visit HuntsvilleHospitalFoundation.org.
Hey, this is Nolan Kaiser, and you're listening to the Reekin Havoc podcast.
Defenseman Craig McCabe is returning to the Havoc for the upcoming year. This will be his first full season with the team after coming on board at the midpoint of last season. He appeared in 25 games during 2023 and 24, in which he scored 3 goals and had 11 assists. Collegiately, he played 68 games at SUNY Fredonia, putting up 5 goals and 14 assists. The 5th annual Havoc Classic Golf Tournament at Cherokee Ridge will be August 26th. Door prizes will be given to each golfer. Shotgun start will be at 1, with registration opening at noon. Cost for a foursome is $500. For more information and registration, go online to huntsvillehavoc.com/Havoc-Classic. The annual Meet the Team party will be October 21st from 5 till 7 p.m. for both season ticket holders and the general public. In addition to meeting the team, season ticket holders can pick up their gifts. There will be a backstage tour of the VBC. You'll get a preview of the recently installed giant video boards, and there will be complimentary food. Go to HuntsvilleHavoc.com to RSVP. The first annual School Day Showcase will be Wednesday, February 26th. It's an inter-squad game and skills competition starting at 10:30 a.m., incorporating educational elements to provide a unique learning experience for students. Tickets are $15 and include a free ticket to any home game in March, with the exception of the 29th, with 2 free tickets per class for teachers and or chaperones. For more information, go online to HuntsvilleHavoc.com and click on School Day Showcase. Season tickets for next year are now on sale. Full, half, or quarter season plans, as well as group tickets, are available. Go to the menu at HuntsvilleHavoc.com and click on the Tickets tab.
Join the Huntsville Havoc Booster Club and help support the team and staff and promote the sport of hockey in Huntsville. Go online to HavocBoosters.org for more information.
The Reekin Havoc podcast.
For those returning from military service, the transition back to civilian life isn't always easy. Retired Marine Gunnery Sergeant Bill Cook talks about still serving veterans.
The mission of Still Serving Veterans is to serve and honor veterans and their families by empowering them to build meaningful lives. And we do that through connecting to fulfilling careers, getting the benefits they deserve, or the services that they need. We have never charged anybody anything for our services. A group of business leaders in town felt there was a need to help the seriously wounded make that transition back into civilian life. Employment services, VA benefits, and connections to other community services. That's what we do. If you're a veteran and you need help, please get a hold of us. Go to that website, ssv.org, and you can find out pretty much anything you need to know about still serving veterans.
In Huntsville, call 256-883-7035.
For tickets, official Huntsville Havoc merchandise, and more, go to HuntsvilleHavoc.com. Visit our website at ReekinHavoc.com. Look for us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Threads. And listen, follow, and subscribe to the Reekin Havoc podcast on your favorite platform to keep up with the only weekly podcast covering the Huntsville Havoc, the Reekin Havoc podcast.